Welcome. I'm Riley Karsh.
I'm Tova Kopan.
We are thrilled to bring you the We Go Boldly podcast.
Let's talk big burning questions, life changes, and maybe a bit of personal business.
Let's be bold and brave together. Are you ready?
I am. Here comes the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Go Boldly, the podcast. It is interview day, which means I'm super excited. This is your host, Riley, and I am here with the fantastical, fabulous, wonderful co-host of mine, Tova. We are having an interview today. We're going to get to that in 1 minute. We're very excited about it. As you all know, season 8 is all about unlocking what is holding you back. We actually just did a live on this, and I had a realization of something that was holding me back in real time, which is pretty exciting. But before we dive into our interview, how are you doing today, Tova? What's happening? What's happening this June day?
Well, so it's funny that you say that because this happens when we're like on the cusp of transition. So we are recording this in June and this is coming out in June, but these Junes are very different Junes because we're recording this at the very beginning of June. And I think when this comes out, it's going to be like either my kid's last week of school or it's over already. So
yeah, mine will be out.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is one of those times where like I'll be in a different headspace, I hope.
I'll be like, oh my God, what do I do with these children?
Yeah, we're on the home stretch, but it's a long stretch. We still have a solid 3 weeks left of school. So
yeah. And it's 3 weeks of not actual school. It's like,
I don't even
picnics and Kona ice and it's never ending. Like I always forget the towels, whatever. What are you going to do? In the meantime, let's get back to our topic at hand, unlocking what is holding us back. I've really enjoyed this season. I didn't realize how much I needed it when we started it. And now that we're like winding down a little bit, I'm actually, this has never happened to me in a season. This always happens to you, Toa. I am feeling a little sad about winding it down because I'm actually really enjoying our own conversations.
So maybe my cancerness is rubbing off.
I think so. I think it's coming over into my fire, which is good. That's what I obviously need it. But let's go ahead and introduce our guest.
Yes. So I am so excited to introduce our guest. We're going to give give you her full bio. But I just have to say, Riley and I try not to like be really big fans of people we don't actually know.
Yeah.
And yet this is one of those people that we really are.
Yes.
And
yes.
I will tell you her bio momentarily, but this wonderful woman has given me grounding and sanity through pretty much every election in the last 3 to 4 years. And I'm so grateful.
And like hopefulness.
Hope.
I just want to put that in there because I know even when it's terrible, there's still some hopefulness, which I so appreciate.
Yes, exactly. So without further ado, we are joined by Orjanel Lewis. She some bio, great bio. She was born in Missouri City, Texas. She went to Tuskegee University, where she was a political science and English double major, and of course, summa cum laude, which is awesome. She also really took participating in the university life very seriously, where she participated in student government, Texas Club, which I love that there's a Texas Club in a school in Alabama. I'm just love everything about that. Spanish Club, the Student Senate, where of course she was president. She received a number of awards, which I want to say just because I know it's going to make her giggle and blush, but I'm going to keep going. And then in addition to that, after graduating, she attended Tulane University School of Law, where obviously she got a JD, but she also got a certificate of maritime law. Also awesome. And she served as an associate attorney for a small boutique law firm in Houston. And then left there, and now I'm getting caught up in reading all of this. But she was previously promoted to policy advisor after serving as in-house counsel in a litigation department. She has worked as and does work as a member of adjunct faculty at a community college. And so she is clearly very busy. In addition to all of that wonderful professional work, she is very involved in her community, being a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, the Houston Lawyers Association, so much more. A member of the Fort Bend Independent School District's We Are Hightower Task Force, the Gifted and Talented Task Force. Oh, my school needs one of those. Bond Oversight Committee and Academy Design Task Force. And of course, in her spare time, which I don't know what that would be, but she is married and has 2 children, Olivia and Marcus Alexander. So we are just overjoyed to have you with us, Orjanel. So welcome. How are you?
Thank y'all so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm doing okay today. Busy, but okay. I'm just very excited to talk to you guys.
Well, we are super excited to have you on the show. And I'm just going to continue the fangirl for a moment because I don't I don't do celebrity. I don't get excited about these things. Tova knows this about me. Not everyone does. I don't know. I just never have. And yet I have been following you like a creepy stalker for a very long time. And you really have brought a lot of hope to me in moments where I have not felt hopeful. And I've been in politics myself for a long time, and I needed it. So thank you. So I just want to start this conversation by saying thank
No.
you to you because it's a lot of work to hold people up like that. It's a lot of emotional, physical labor, and it deserves appreciation. And I appreciate it. And I know lots and lots of other people do as well. So let's dive into our topic because I feel like based on your bio, and I don't usually talk about people's bios that much, but based on your bio, I feel like you have really done a lot of work on unlocking what's holding you back and on unlocking kind of the things that might get in your way of success and your purpose and passion. So can you talk to us a little bit about what that process was like for you? How did you get to the point where you had the internal confidence to say, I'm going to be president of the Senate. I'm going to give everyone my opinion on politics. I'm going to, become a lawyer. I'm going to do all these things and I'm going to have kids. Like that takes, a certain level of trust in yourself, right? Generally, or just, craziness in my case. So how did you unlock all of that? How did you get to the point where you felt like you could take those risks?
Okay, so let me just start this off by saying, we talked about I am an attorney, so I give very long-winded answers. I tell my students this. I get paid to talk for a long time, so I do that.
Yep.
So if I get off topic, you all just help bring me back.
Or we'll just be along for the ride and
Yeah,
enjoy
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Talk. You know what? So my parents are just 2 amazing, really, really amazing people. They raised me as an only child while my father was married previously. So I do have an older sister who I absolutely love. She is my just rock. She is so amazing. I was raised in a house by myself. So by the time I came around, my sister was 17 and a year away from starting her own family. But my parents just did a very wonderful job of instilling so much confidence in me from a very early age to just go and speak to anyone, tell them my thoughts and make plans and strategize and move forward with it. And I was talking with my therapist about this a few months ago. And I really believe that the reason why they instilled so much confidence in me is because they were older when they had me, which these days it doesn't feel like that old, but my mom was 37 and my dad was 41. And they had tried for 5 years to have, this amazing miracle child.
Absolutely.
And they did.
They got me. But with them being older, my parents were born in the 40s. My mom's going to kill me for saying this. They were born in the 40s. And we didn't have integration until the mid to late 50s, right? And my parents had to deal with that growing up, like from, elementary school, dealing with going to segregated schools. And even when schools became integrated, they still were the first, or they had to, do these things first. So they had this confidence. It was a lot of, no, we're going to do great things. We're going to push. We're going to be the first in our field. My mom was the first person in her family to graduate from college. And then not only did she graduate, she became a pharmacist. My dad was the oldest boy. He went to the military and then he started his own business and he taught everyone else to do it. So I think that from a very young age, I was taught a lot of confidence. One of the things that my grandmother used to say, Lord rest her soul, um, is that, and she'd said this with her kids, I do everything I can to build you up for them, the world, to tear you down. And I feel that. I feel that often, but I'm fortunate to have such an amazing base of family and friends. My parents are still here with me. They live around the corner, which is sometimes a little annoying. But they are still here whenever there's a moment where I'm like, I can't do this. There's no way. No, you can. And you set out a plan and you just work towards it. You use your energy, your time, drink your coffee in the morning, and you just get it done. And so I'm just surrounded by really amazing people that just continue to build me up, even when the world is tearing me down.
So I have a few questions. So when you feel that way, the world is tearing you down and you're like, I can't do this. I don't want to run for school board anymore. I can't do this, or like whatever the case might be. Do you verbalize that? Like, do they sense it, or do you say, I can't, this is frustrating, or I'm tired, or and I guess I ask that because I think it's so hard for us to say things like that. So I'm interested in knowing, like, how do they know that they need to come in and say, we're here, you're doing great. And maybe, I've had the experience where friends knew I needed support before I knew I needed support sometimes. But so maybe they sense it, but how do you let people know that you, this wonderful, amazing, strong woman, needs that help?
It's a combination of things. There are times, even today, where I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. I'm tired. I'm broken. Every step that I take, someone is pulling me 3 steps back. I don't want to do it anymore. I told one of my sorority sisters last week, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I just don't want to. And she said, well, no, you're a leader, so you're going to have to deal with it. Um, so when I get to now it does take a lot, but when I get to that breaking point, I have no fear in calling someone, and I try to vary it up so it's not the same person, unless it's my therapist. But I try to vary it up so it's not the same person. But they immediately step in. If it's my parents, if it's my cousins, if it's I'm the PTO president at the school, if it's one of the teachers at the school. We did a couple of weeks ago was Teachers Appreciation Week. So we go to our kids go to it's a pretty small Title I school here in Fort Wayne ISD, but I love it. And it's our neighborhood school. And I've been volunteering at the school since 2018, even before my kids started there. So whatever they need, in a good way, I'm there to help. I even made my husband join a PTO board so I could get more support. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of parents who are able to dedicate the time. We have a few, and I'm very grateful for them. But overall, if we have almost 500 kids, we may have less than 10 parents that are able to truly consistently dedicate their time. Going into Teachers Appreciation Week, I was tired. I just kept thinking, I can't do all of this. And I have elaborate plans. If you've ever seen my kids' birthday parties, I have very elaborate plans.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
For one of the kids' birthday parties, we did a carnival thing. So we had a Ferris wheel in the front yard.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I'm crazy, but I have these big dreams, and then I'm like, how are we going to get this accomplished? Because this person can't do it. This person moved away. Had my cry. We got it done. Every day, the teachers had something different. And it wasn't, like huge, 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 but it was big for them, which is important. The next week, I had to go to the school for an awards banquet. And there's a lot of, I have my hands in a lot of pots. So there's a lot of drama. There's just a lot of stuff going on that I'm dealing with and trying to maintain. And as I'm walking in the school, there are hallways for each of the grade levels. There are teachers standing at the hallways, directing the parents, oh, go here for the second grade award ceremony. But as my husband and I are walking in, the teachers start to bow down. And they're like, you did that. The teacher's appreciation week was excellent. You did everything we needed you to do and more. It was wonderful. Then I started getting emails from teachers saying, hey, I think we should do this next year. Hey, I'd love to help you do this. And I'm like, the help that I needed is forthcoming. Like I'm really so it just sometimes, I'm able to cry and call someone, I vary it. But sometimes it just comes out of nowhere, like when I didn't even know that I needed it or wanted it. And it's perfect, perfect, perfect timing. So I'm just grateful that it just happens like that for me.
I know Riley has a question. I just want to highlight something really fast. Because I think it's so important, especially women our age, who were often raised in a world where, like, in order to be successful, you had to be like a man. I mean, right? Like, and we had the shoulder pads and like, and we're dealing with this in my town council, and it's just a whole thing. You have now talked about success, but you've also talked about crying and therapy and asking for help. And I think it is so important that when we talk about self-care, we remember that crying when you need to cry, therapy consistently, asking for help are probably three of the most important forms of self-care. And you can be amazingly successful and do all of those things. So I will kick it over to you, Riley. But
I'm actually going to tack on to that because you started talking about exactly what I was going to talk about. And that no surprise there, and that is I want to triple amplify because Tova just did. I don't know. The concepts that you're talking about are the ability to be vulnerable and to allow people to see you as a human instead of as some perfect Instagram picture, right? Is it's really hard, particularly for a lot of women our age and a lot of people of our generation, because, we weren't really allowed for that. And I don't know that we are still, but the more we do it and the more we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to show our insecurities, our weaknesses, our shortcomings, failings, whatever, the more we let that out, the less power it has over us and the more help we receive. And the other thing I want to highlight for anyone listening is if there is someone in your life that you haven't given gratitude to, that you have thought you've had a moment where you've just stopped and been like, oh, I should write that letter, or I should say thank you, or I should note that that person has done all these things. Do it because it does have an impact, because exactly what you're saying is, you get your strength and your power from the I don't want to use the word village because it takes a village, whatever. But the people around you who lift you up. And the only way you can lift people up is by speaking out and by saying things and by actually acknowledging the work that's being done around you or the effort that other people are putting into things. And so I wanted to highlight both of those things for our listeners because they're so key to what you're talking about. And they're undervalued, I think. And it's really, really important that, we all take the time to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, but also to give other people our appreciation, to give that gratitude. So I do have a question though. I will, go, please. No, please.
I was just going to say, I'm so happy that y'all said that because that wasn't always my practice to, tell people that. And, we talk about the harms and the negative aspects of social media, but I want to highlight one of the positives that I found. You know how you like post like something, random that happened or whatever on Facebook or whatever, other social media platform that you're on. And then, people comment and they're like, great job, wonderful. And I had a few people that were like, always comment. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like, I don't even know you. Like, why are you? But especially when days are hard, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for taking 2 seconds out of your day to say something to me. Now, I'm not, going back and reading it like I need, this, but when I do read it, I'm like, thank you so much that you took a few minutes to say, love your dress. You're doing a great job. Or like last week, perfectly timed. One of my best friends since middle school sent me a clip from my graduation, my college graduation. And I knew that this happened, but I couldn't prove it because I didn't have a clip. But at the graduation, the president of the university had different people stand up and he just talked about their achievements while we were at Tuskegee. And I was one of those people. And he had me stand up and he talked about, the organizations that I was in, some of the great works that I had done, and, what I was planning to do in the future. And my friend had recorded it. And I was like, this is so perfect because it was a low day. And for him to send that to me, it just reminded me, no, like you've been doing a great work. So you keep going, regardless of what anyone says, regardless of how anyone tries to attack you or say you didn't do this or you're not great. And I'm not, going around saying I'm just wonderful. That's never me. I'm very humble. But sometimes you need that reminder. And so I posted it because I wanted that reminder to come back every year in my look back. And one of my neighbors, she didn't even know that I needed to hear this that day. She commented and she said, so you've always been this driven. You've always been this active. It's so great to know that this isn't a new thing with you. You see that? So I've been making it like my mission. When I'm able to log into social media, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, to truly comment, not just like it, but to comment on other people's things. Because you just never know if someone needs it that day. You just never know.
Yeah, and to go into sort of my more wooey spiritual side, I feel like whether it's social media or if it's the person you meet at the coffee shop or you pass somebody on the street in the morning, it is a way in which we can connect on a more spiritual soul-based level, and we can acknowledge that we are all part of a larger collective, right? Whatever that is, however you want to describe it, name it, whatever. But we're all connected. And so to be able to acknowledge the people and the power that they have around you helps you feel more connected to other people. So it works in both directions. I promise I will get to a question, but I find this conversation so interesting that like it's hard to get there. But so I do want to ask you for everybody listening, because I think you're such a great example for people who maybe are struggling with what's holding them back of how to move forward. Can you talk a little bit about how you work towards your purpose every day, how you sort of define that for yourself and how that comes out in your day-to-day life?
Okay, so I kind of smile with this question because I literally just figured out last week like what my passion and purpose are.
Excellent. Perfect.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
For this. Because I have my hands in a lot of pots. And what I try to do is what feels natural to me and what feels helpful. At heart, I have a servant heart. So, okay, so funny. I told you I'm long-winded, so please feel free to
No, go, please tell us stories.
So I do not practice anymore. I'm in government relations and public policy. So my job is not going into court, which I did that for like 7 years. But so I don't do that anymore. But I still know the law. Well, a couple of things, unless they change it, they do that often now. I got a call to no, I just lost all my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. You were talking to us about figuring out what your purpose was or is.
So I got a call last week to help someone with a legal case. And so I always say, listen, I don't really practice anymore, but I can put out some feelers and see who knows, what and that kind of thing. So they're explaining the case to me so that I can, help them find an attorney. Okay, cool. And so at the end of the call, and we were on the call for about an hour, they were just saying, I just want to thank you, like, because I've been calling and calling, nobody's responding, nobody's answering my emails, and I just want to thank you for talking to me. And I said, listen, that's why I became an attorney, because I want to help people. I really do. And part of the reason why I had to get out of private practice is because if people are in need, it was just very, for me, it was very weird for me to charge them when they need help. They just need help. They don't know what to do. So I just want to help them. And, if they want to give me something later, listen, I will accept it. But it's just weird to say, you have to pay me for me to tell you how to help yourself. Like it was just very weird. So I have a servant's heart and I realized I just want to help people. One of my passions, because I do have multiple, I realized that last week as well, really came about in 2018. And it happened really weird. I was on Nextdoor. Do y'all ever get on that app?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't go there because it's intense, but yeah.
It is intense.
It's a bit of a dumpster fire, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Dumpster fire. I'm using that. So I was on Nextdoor and just kind of searching around to see, what's going on in the community. At this point, I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And while I'm on Nextdoor, they talked about our high school that we're zoned to, that the plan is to rezone everyone out of that high school to another school, which they don't know which school yet, but make the high school an all magnet or all academy school. And I just kept thinking, well, no, like that's stupid. Why would we do that? I don't like that. We moved here so that we could go to that high school. And it's not like the best, like it's not, ranked number one in the district, but I have sentimental ties to this high school. So my kids are going to this high school. We live around the corner. Like, I just don't understand it. So I saw where they were having a meeting. So I said, well, I'm just going to go to the meeting with a 3 and 1-year-old who are nowhere near high school. But I went to the meeting. And what I realized at this meeting is that there was a committee set up to make the decision. And the rest of us community people, we couldn't really say anything. We just had to watch. You mean I have to watch other people make decisions for me? Well, I don't like that. So I started talking with some of the other moms who were there, and we banded together and we created this task force, the We Are Hightower Task Force. We decided we don't want you to take our school away from us. How dare you? So we started talking to other people in the community. We had community meetings. We invited our state representative to come out. He came. We invited some of the trustees that sit on the school board who would ultimately make the decision or okay the decision to come out and hear from us. But I didn't want to do it in the stereotypical way. Like I didn't want to be arguing with them. I didn't want to be fighting. I didn't want to be cussing, even though I'm really, really good at it. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to have simple, conversations and not really negotiate, but just explain our position, right? And we did that. And we went to the news and we were really nice. We weren't ugly or anything. We just explained our position and it worked. They decided to let us keep our high school. And instead, they also gave us, they did rezoning to give us more students to go to the high school. They gave us additional programs to support academics at the high school. They even gave our feeder pattern a middle school and an elementary school to further support the growth of this community. And I'll never forget, we were in the parking lot of the news station when we found all of this out. And we were like, we're good. We should keep doing this. And so we have. We ended up joining multiple committees within the district, and we continue to fight the same way. We'll be nice. I'll come to the meeting with a dozen donuts, shipping, because I love them. I'll come to the meeting with donuts, and we'll just sit and talk. And it's not going to be hostile. We may have to agree to disagree. At the end of the day, I'm going to have the kids' best interest at heart, and I'm going to believe that you do as well. And it has worked. And because of that, I like to call myself an education advocate, but I will fight for these kids. I will fight for the teachers. I will do whatever I can to make sure that we have the best learning environments and, of course, educational opportunities and outcomes for the entire district. And so it's become fun. It doesn't feel like work. I don't get paid. I do this strictly voluntarily, but I like it. I enjoy it. So it's just interesting how you kind of just stumble into, a passion of yours.
I have so much to say. But also I like want to text all my friends and be like, okay, this is what we need to start calling what we do. It's a task force. It has a name. Let's, it's not just us on a text chain. It's actually something.
It's actually a task force.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because I do appreciate when I write the school board members and the one writes back and she goes, I always appreciate that you're always very nice in the emails. Get more. I don't know.
More flies with honey than you will.
There we go. That's like
the
something
saying.
about
That's
sugar.
The saying. Something about flies and sugar.
we are going to take a really quick break because we haven't yet, and we need to. So we will take a quick break. We will be right back.
Hey, Tova, you know what I love?
Coffee, definitions, uninterrupted reading time.
Okay, all of those things are true, but I also love maps.
As in Siri, take me to the beach?
Yeah, also as in who am I really and who do I want to be?
Yeah, I figured that's what you meant, but I also have the beach on my mind, so...
Well, we were talking about things we love, so that definitely makes sense. But the map I was thinking about is our Defining You course.
Yes, we put together Defining You as a way to map where you are and how you want to live your life.
So true. So many people struggle to find their purpose in a busy and noisy world.
That's why we made Defining You, our course meant to guide you to creating your own mission statement.
And there's good news. You can get it now on teachable.com. Find the link on our website at goboldlyinitiative.com/courses, or check out the link on our Instagram bio at Go Boldly Together.
We can't wait to see you there. Now, let's head back to the show. So I want to ask you about, I guess I have two questions. I'm going to pick one because they're totally different. Okay. So I do want to ask you a little bit about, you've talked about, your vulnerability, and it's amazing. How do you, either on a daily basis or, as months and years go by, deal with when you don't have success, when there's a failure of some kind? And just so we're clear, I don't think failures are bad things. So I don't get like little goosebumps or anything when I say that word. But when it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, how do you deal with that? And what do you do? That's it. That's the question.
If it's okay, I want to talk about a major failure that I've had in the last year and a half. So in 2022, I did not go into the year thinking this, but I ultimately decided to run for school board. Now, let me say this. I never thought that I would run for school board. I had been watching because, then I became like a junkie with this. But I've been watching all of the school board meetings. Even if I went or, watch them live, I would watch literally every single school board meeting. And I remember in 2018, when we were in the fight, thinking I would never be on the school board. Like I would never do this because it's lose-lose. Like you're going to always make somebody unhappy. I don't like to do that. So I never want to run. But I had several people, community people, elected officials, several, and we're talking dozens, approach me about running. And it wasn't, we need this partisan candidate to run. It was never that. It was, Orjanel, this school board stuff inside and out. If you don't run, this is who is going to win. This is who is going to make the decisions for your kids. Like we don't have a choice. And I said, well, call other people and just be sure because they have until next February. I will help them. I will give them money. I will give them time. Yeah, they couldn't find anyone else. And I'm starting to think that they didn't really look that hard. They couldn't find, and I I'm a very religious and spiritual person. This is my religion. I'm not pushing my religion off on anyone else. I would like to make that clear. I love everyone else's religion. You pray how you want, or you do what you feel is best. I'm going to do what I feel is best, and that is pray. And I spent a lot of time praying. And when I tell you, everything just got lined up. And so I said, well, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do this. But I really didn't know what I had gotten myself into. I thought just a little local community campaign. I'm from this area. This will be fun. I'll get to, go knock doors because I enjoy doing that. I'll get to call and text people. Never in 5 million years did I think people would make up blatant lies about me and spread them as though they were fact. I had to defend myself, my family. One person said that I made my husband up because they never saw him around. And I had to explain, well, we're still in the middle of a global pandemic, and my husband is a healthcare professional. So it's good that you don't see him.
Right.
Because he's helping other people get well. They attempted to contact my employer to get me terminated from my job. One of the worst rumors was that I was a pedophile grooming children. And this is because I am not supportive of measures to arbitrarily ban books. Now, I do believe that children should read age appropriate books. And in I say age, but I really mean mind appropriate, right? Because my kid, my 6-year-old, he just finished kindergarten, but he's reading on a 4th or 5th grade level. So he can do chapter books. He literally just read one in one night on Tuesday night. So, that kind of thing. I never thought people would do that. And I think it's because I always go into it that, no, they'll see that I'm trying to do a great thing here, and everyone they'll just help, and it will be wonderful. But it's just not the reality of how things are. I had people who I trusted and I believed in and I respected even slander me. And I just kept taking it. I kept taking it. I lost a lot of weight. So if you ever, want to lose weight, you don't want to go like the Ozempic route, walking and running a campaign is the way to do it.
Oh my goodness. Yep.
But it was this great buildup, and I was so zoned into my race, I wasn't looking at it from this big atmosphere of what we're doing in the state of Texas or what we're doing nationally. But other people were. And I ended up being contacted by NBC News about the race, and they ran 2 reports on my race specifically. And it wasn't until after the race, and I had lost by 534 votes. I'll never forget that number. And I read the article that they wrote, that I realized that while I did not win the elected position, I made a huge impact. So while this failure, for all intents and purposes, looks horrible, it's always going to work out for the good. So what happened? Because of my composure, my demeanor, the way I carried my race, and it wasn't just me. I had the best team that no money could pay for, because I didn't have money to support them. But the very best team, a communications director, a campaign manager, a treasurer, like they were phenomenal. Because of how we ran the campaign, it got us so much further than we ever could have expected. I had built relationships with other trustees that I never thought that I would have. So I had direct lines of communication to them. The administration had so much respect for me. They already liked me, but we had a new administration because we got a new superintendent. But I was able to build this new relationship. So now when we have an ask for the community, I have, a person that I can directly call that can, make things happen or explain to me why, hell no, that's not happening. Other people, when they ran for their elected positions or political positions, they contacted us to see, well, what did y'all do? And I said, well, we lost. Like, what do you mean? What did we do? But there was still a foundation in the framework for them to work from so that they could ultimately win. Now this is the difficult part for me. If I go into a store, I need to look right because people are like, I know you. And I'm like, you know. I volunteer at my kids' school, but I also volunteer at other schools. Like if I have some time, I'll go and read, I'll do a career day, whatever they ask me to do. If I can do it, I go and do it. And it's so interesting when teachers and staff are like, you know, run again. We need you to run again. We can't play these games anymore. We need you to run again. The fact that they felt so much confidence in me, especially when it may have been a low day for me. I mean, they wouldn't know because I slept that makeup on.
Yep.
Shout out to Yana for the Fenty Beauty. But it may have been a low day for me. But here they are. They're like, no, you were great. You were wonderful. Like, and what I realized is, yes, I lost. I did not win that seat, but ultimately we did a great work. We pushed more voters out in a May race than have ever been out for a May race. Even this year, we got more voters last year than came out this year, which I thought was interesting. So it ended up working out okay. Who's to say I could run again in the future? I have no plans to do that. I have to say that because people will.
People are going to call you.
Yeah. I have no plans to do it, but I didn't have plans to do it in 2023. So that failure ended up turning out to be one of the greatest things that I ever could have done. Even when I'm down about it, it really turned out to be an amazing thing.
Yeah, the mindset that you're able to put yourself in and talk about right now is something that I think people would really benefit from in any aspect of their life, right? That if you can look back at your accomplishments, even if they didn't get the outcome that you were anticipating, you can look back and see the process was where for lack of a better phrase, because this is what's coming to my mind, that's where the money is, right? Like the process is the part that matters the most, even though obviously you would be better off on school board. Everybody else would be better off if you were on the school board, and it would feel good to win, right? Like it would just feel nice. Everyone wants to win. But it's the process that taught you the most and that brought the most to the people, right? And I think that that's so hard when you're in the moment and you're in the day and you're in the midst of like the feelings about not getting the outcome you want, whatever it is. It's very hard to hold on to that understanding. And so it's okay to allow yourself to have like the moment where you, as you said before, you cry, you call for your friends, you talk to your family, you talk to your, spiritual leader, you talk, whoever, you talk to somebody. And then to allow that to happen and then to move forward, right? And to be able to reflect back on what you have accomplished. So I think that that's fantastic advice for anyone who didn't quite catch that. That's the advice. And it's great. And I think if more of us could do that younger, like, I don't think I learned that until I was, I don't know, like in the last decade, basically. And if I had understood that as a kid or a 20 something, man, I would have saved myself a lot of time and a lot of arguments and a lot of like wallowing.
May I add to that really quickly?
Yeah, please.
One of the other things that I do, I've had some monumental failures, right? Things that I felt were, this is just horrible. How could that happen to me? Why did they do that? And so I have a running list in my phone. I jotted down that really horrible thing, but then I have an arrow that points to the really wonderful thing that came. So when these really, like when you're in the storm, when you're in the midst of it, especially if you're me, you can only see that storm. It's just horrible. It's not going to get better. This is the worst thing to ever happen to me.
Yep.
If you go back and you look at, well, some other pretty bad things have happened, but it all worked out for, the greater good.
Right.
If you're able to just remind yourself of that while you're in the storm, it gets better.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead, Tova.
I was just going to say, I think we are very against like just silver lining something. And, just to be like, well, the silver lining is, but that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about being grateful and practicing gratitude. And so you're in the storm. You're not making yourself find a silver lining for the storm that you're actually in. you're letting yourself be in the storm, but you're also giving yourself the ability to know, like, every other storm I've ever been in, I've gotten through. I've seen the rainbow and the sun has come out, and this is what it looked like. So I can be in the storm, but I know it's not going to last forever. And I think that is amazing. And it is if people are trying to approach their life with a positive attitude, that's a really healthy way.
Yes.
Versus like, I'm looking for the sun, but I'm in the storm. Like,
right.
It's okay to be in the storm.
Cloudy. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be horrible. I was just telling someone last week, like, it feels uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to have to go through this. I would rather just, like, even when I was running for school board, I would rather just be a committee member. And I had to tell people, like, I'm not doing this for fame. Like, I don't serve on these committees. I don't do this service because I want you to know, who I am. You're going to mispronounce my name anyway. I'd rather just in the background. It's way more fun there. But sometimes you got to go through it, and you're going to, it's shock, but you'll get through it.
Yes. No, all of that is so true. And sometimes unfortunately, sometimes we have to be the person leading the charge, right? Like, we have to be the person taking the brunt of the garbage that people will throw at us, especially in politics of any kind, although school board should not be political, but whatever. We will, every now and then you've got to be the person who steps forward and takes the brunt of that. And that, it's brutal. I've been through it. It's very hard on, not only yourself emotionally, but your family and the people who love you, because it's gross. People are gross sometimes. But I do want to ask you one more question, and then we will take a break, because I know we're going to run long, because I have like 8,000 questions for you apparently. But I want to talk about the definition you use for success, and this is a two-part question. So how do you define success for yourself, and how do you get through making difficult choices? Like choosing between doing, you have a lot of passion. So choosing between one thing and the other, how are you prioritizing things in your life?
First of all, y'all have the best questions. These are so good. My therapist would be so happy right now.
That's fantastic. Yay. I feel like we're doing well.
How do I define success? I don't. I do not measure what I do by any sort of metric. I do what feels like the right thing to do. We talked about, like, for example, the 2020 election. I did not sleep for about 3 or 4 days because I needed to watch every bit of coverage to see how this election would turn out. And then I needed to report it. So I was reporting it in real time to Facebook groups that I'm in. And people liked it. And so that made me happy. But I get so fixed in, and maybe I have an OCD. I need to talk to someone about that. But I get so fixed in on particular topics or subjects or ways to help, or ways to learn and grow, that excuse me, I just do what they tell me that they need help with, and that's it. It's not, okay, I did a wonderful thing. Okay, if I am able to do this 5 times, that was a success. I don't even think about it. It's just, they need help. Let me go and help them. The second part of your question, how do I prioritize? If you saw this room that I was in right now, you would probably call someone to get me something. There, I am all over the place. I have sticky notes. This one's blank, so I can tell you. I have sticky, and there are multiple colors. I have my phone that does my calendaring. I have a hard book calendar. I have all of these things to kind of figure out what is what and who's who. If I'm ever in a position where it's 2 things that I really, that I've signed up to do, and they are happening like at the same time, I go where internally I'm being led to go. Who needs the most help? If it's, my child, then, they always need the most help.
Yeah.
A very interesting individual. If it's 2 committees that I'm on, well, which committee has the most people on it that I really like, or which one has the closest deadline. I try not to make a big deal about, prioritizing, um, because, and someone told me this a few months ago, and I just thought that this is one of the best compliments I ever had. If Orjanel says she's going to do it, she's going to do it. I may not have to meet with you 50 times. You can meet with your committee, but whatever I said I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to do. So, I don't have to be micromanaged to do it. I will get that done. And I just try to live by that and just try not to overcomplicate things and just go for it.
I think we better take one more break because we're almost out of time. But that is also great advice for anyone who's listening. I'm just going to keep repeating myself today, apparently. To you're essentially saying you're following your inner voice, right? Like you're listening to your intuition, you're tuned into whatever your higher power is and into your own heart and your own soul, your own spirit, and going, this is what I feel called to do, and therefore I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to worry about the outside world telling me what I should and shouldn't be doing. And that, is something we talk about consistently on the show, is that if you can get to the point where you are able to hear your inner voice, where you're able to understand what your core values are, what's the most important to you, then it becomes automatic. It becomes something that you don't, like you were just saying, like you don't even have to think about. It just is. It just happens. And it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, Tova will do some rapid fire questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back, everyone.
Know what I really love to do?
Take baths, go for walks, read, drink margaritas, hike.
Yeah, not what I was referring to. We're recording a commercial right now.
I do, but I'm thinking outside the box, being adaptable.
As I was saying, what I love to do is host our live monthly workshops.
Oh, right. That's what we were talking about. Me too. They are a lot of fun to put together and host every month. And we can bring margaritas, so...
Join us for live conversation as we get a bit deeper into topics near and dear to our hearts. We go through everything from self-care to setting boundaries.
We share coaching tips, practical advice, and take questions from the audience. It's a whole lot of fun.
Sign up for our newsletter today at goboldlyinitiative.com/contact to make sure you hear about all the upcoming Go Boldly workshops.
You definitely don't want to miss out. Now, back to that show. All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. As I said before we took a break, we are going to do some quick response questions and get to know some of the more, I was about to say funner, because apparently I have never been educated, the more fun aspects of your life. So let's go. It's 5 questions. I'm going to ask you. You can do short answers. Whatever pops into your head first is perfectly acceptable. And I am not allowed to ask follow-up questions, despite the fact that I will have many. Always do. So let's do this. Okay. First question. What is on your nightstand?
So I'm a hoarder. Okay. I am admitting it. I have candy. Don't tell my dentist. I have water. I had these earrings before I put them on. I have a necklace. The fact that I know this is I literally just did this. I have paperwork that I was supposed to review and complete that I have not, and it's probably a month late. And a bag of chips.
I love it. Oh my goodness. It's my kind of nightstand. Number 2, who is at the top of your playlist right now?
No, can I look?
Yeah, you can look. This stumps everyone. I never know either. I'm like, I don't know, something awful my kids put there. What.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I've been listening. I'm in Texas. So
Yep.
my family's from Louisiana, New Orleans to be exact. And I usually listen to a lot of second line music, but literally the first song is Exotico, which is like Southwest Louisiana music. And the one song that I have listened to so much recently is Overcome.
Oh, I love it.
We would love if you would send that to us.
Yeah,
So-
we're gonna be listening to that as well. Okay, number 3. What is one thing that you haven't done yet that you have always wanted to do?
So this summer I'm going to Chicago. I've never done that, and I've always really wanted to go because I have some amazing cousins that live there. So while I'm there, I'm going to get to see them. I feel like there's probably so many other things, but I am really scary and boring. So like roller coasters, like that, I'm done with that. I'm done with that kind of stuff. Like I really try to keep my life. Can't think of anything else. So going to
That's
Chicago.
okay. That's all right. Listen, we don't all have to want to jump out of an airplane. That's not that's not fun. All right. So number 4, what is your favorite beverage?
Wine.
Same, wine and coffee.
Yeah,
Maybe
coffee.
together.
For the day.
Number 5, aside from necessities, what one thing could you not go a day without?
Okay, before this last week, I thought it was coffee, but I had to like give up coffee because I just had like a dental surgery. So I give up coffee for a little bit. I'm going back to it soon. I do not think I could live without my phone, and that's so bad.
Without your phone. I understand.
On focus, like so I can focus like during the day, but then I'm like still looking at the phone, like who called, who texted, like I gotta respond back. Yeah, it's my phone. It's so
Yep.
bad.
That's not bad. We're not judging. There's no judgment on this show.
No judging.
Well, there's some judging, but not of you. I can't on Tova, honestly. We do some judging. But it's of bad people, so it's fine. So we are going to wrap it up because we've taken up a lot of your time. We have 8 million more questions, so we're probably going to ask you to come back. But in the meantime, where can people find you if they want to learn more about what you're doing, or if they want to know about, the work you're doing with schools, which sounds amazing. If they want to replicate it like Tova does, and I stay away from the school because no one wants me to do that. I can't be nice and kind like you are. But where can people find you?
Okay, so I guess on Facebook, I am Orjanel, Orjanel, last name Lewis, Lewis, and on Twitter, where I talk a lot about politics and reality TV.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. Well, thank you again for being with us today. We really enjoy talking to you. And I'm in all seriousness, we're probably going to invite you back because I do have more questions. But I can't make this a 3-hour show. But we really appreciate your time. It's been lovely talking to you and getting some of your advice. And I hope that our listeners are taking it to heart. If you're out there and you're struggling and things are hard or things feel difficult, reach out to a therapist, because obviously everyone on this show believes in therapy. Find a life coach, do both, whatever it is that you need to make your life better, go ahead and do it. You deserve to be happy. So that's it for us today. We will be back next week with more on unlocking what is holding you back. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for listening to We Go Boldly podcast. We know you're busy and we love spending time with you.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, let us know. Head to Apple Podcasts right now to rate and review our show. While you're there, be sure to click that subscribe button.
Want more us time? Follow us on all the socials at Go Boldly Together.
Want even more us time? As in all the coaching pizzazz. Find us at goboldlyinitiative.com for all the info.
We will be back with more excitement, research, and deep thoughts next week.
Until then, keep on being the bold, brave, amazing people we know you already are.